Question 2, again, is a fairly straightforward question. We're given these 2 points here, and we're asked to find the midpoint of AB and the gradient of a line L1, which goes through A and B. So all we've got to do then to find the coordinates of the midpoint is just use this formula here, which effectively is saying that the coordinates of the midpoint will be the average x coordinate and the average y coordinate. So all we've got to do then for that is just add together x1, which is 6, and x2, which is -6. We should be able to see that that is going to give us 0. And then the y coordinates, if we add -7 and 2, we're going to get -5, which divided by 2 is going to give you -2.5. So very straightforward. L1 then is a line which goes through A and B. All we've got to do then is just use the formula here for the gradient of a straight line. So y2 here is going to be 2. So we're actually, let's just write this out. We have 2 minus -7 divided by x2, which is -6, minus x1, which is 6. So we're going to end up with 2 minus -7, which is 2 plus 7, so that's going to give you 9, over -6, which is -12, so that is -3/4, or -0.75. In part C, we are told that the line L2 is perpendicular to L1 and also passes through M. And first of all, we're asked to write down the gradient. So write down means you should really be able to do it without too much thought. So remember that we found out earlier that the gradient of L1 was -3/4. So if we're trying to find the gradient of a line that is perpendicular, we should be able to either use the formula. So the formula of 2 perpendicular lines is that if we have the gradients multiplied together, that's going to give us -1. So here, the gradient of the second line will be -1 divided by m1, which was -3/4. So that is going to give us 4/3. But perhaps more simply is just to remember that if we want to find the gradient of a perpendicular line, we just need the negative reciprocal. So initially the first gradient was -3/4. So the reciprocal means flip it upside down. So that would be -4/3, and then we want the negative. So if we've got a negative of a negative number, that will give us 4/3. So either method can be used to find the gradient. The second part, write down in the form y equals mx plus c. The only way we can do this is because we know that the line passes through M, and we have up here the coordinates for M. So we can just use the equation of a straight line. We know that y equals mx plus c. We've got a y coordinate on the line because we know that the y coordinate is -2.5, so we can substitute that in. -2.5 equals the gradient, which we've just found, is 4/3, so 4/3 multiplied by x. Now we know up here that x is 0, so that's going to make the maths nice and easy, plus c. Now we don't know what c is, that's what we're going to have to try and solve, but we should be able to see that this whole thing here multiplied by 0 is going to disappear. So we're left with -2.5 is equal to c. We're asked to write down the answer for the whole equation. So formally, it's going to be y equals 4/3 x minus 2.5.